All right, everybody. We are back on the JNR Network. Tonight's guest, we have legendary actor, best known for Big Red and Five Heartbeats, acclaimed Shakespearean trained performer with deep roots in theater, iconic roles in Speed, Heaven's Prisoners, the Bravados, A Day in the Life, former professor of theater arts known for commanding presence, intellectual depth, cultural insight, and powerful oratory, Mr. Hawthorne James.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can't see you, but I can hear you.
I don't know why you can't see me. So camera should be up and running.
No, ain't nothing. It's all black.
So, oh, I know what. That's my bad. Yeah,
What's up, Chief?
what's up, man?
You doing all right?
I'm great. How about you?
Oh man, I can't be no better, man. Can't be no better. Ronson, he should be on here shortly. He had to handle something real quick, so he'll jump in. Um, Everything good going your way?
Things good here. Everything's great here. Thank you.
That's all right. No problem. No worries, man. All right, we're gonna kick it off, man, and start you off with an icebreaker question. If your life had a prologue written by Shakespeare, what would the first line be and why?
Oh man, where you come up with that question? Come on, man.
Well, you know you like the Shakespeare stuff, so you know.
I do love it, but that one threw me for a loop. That's a great question.
We'll come back to it.
Okay.
All right. First question of the night: origins, purpose, and early flame. What was the first moment you realized acting wasn't just entertainment, but it was a calling for you?
Ooh, that another good question because I I thought you were going to when was first time acting, you realized acting was where you wanted to be, but you went someplace different with it. The calling, I don't know when my conscience said this is more than just acting. I think it's strange because the consciousness it 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 just flowed from the time I started, and it became what it is today. Because full blown today is much more than just performing. It is so important because this is a medium by which everyone in the world knows who you are. And when I say you, I mean all of us as a collective. That's how they get to. Quick story. I remember the brothers came back from Vietnam, and they would say, the Vietnamese women, when they were trying to get with the Vietnamese women, they would say, too biggie, too biggie, too biggie. And then they would say, ask you to turn around so that they could see your tail.
Mm.
Now, where did they get that from? They got it from film, television, and books. Those are things that we do not control at this point in our life.
Hmm.
That's when I really started realizing that this medium is more than just entertainment. See, we look at it as entertainment. They look at it as propaganda.
Hmm.
You know,
Wow.
because if you look at the films that they do, a lot of times, it's like they go to space, but we don't go with them. That's their fantasy to get rid of you.
Mm.
They use it to fulfill their fantasies. They use it to fulfill what they decide that they want to be and tell you who you are. I've had white directors come up and tell me what it's like to be black.
Really? Wow.
Oh yeah.
My God.
Yeah, they want me to play a certain way because they think black people are this way. And they're convinced they know us better than we know ourselves.
Hmm.
You know,
Wow.
and it's like, it's infuriating.
Wow.
Wow.
But if you don't have a conscience, you will do it their way. If all you want is that money, if money leads you, you would do it their way. See, and I've lost millions of dollars because there are certain things that I won't do. I don't use the N-word. I stopped using that in my personal life in my 20s.
Mm.
And I just don't use it. And I don't preach about it. I don't tell you you're not supposed to use it. I just say I don't use it. And if you're my friend, you won't use it when you're talking to me. My wife, every once in a while, she'll say, I'm sorry, I just had to say that one because that was funny right there. But she apologizes for it. She knows, and all my friends know that I don't call you that, don't call me that. Yeah. Because you will get hung up on. You will be asked to leave my presence if you insist on doing that. Now I understand. I have a very intelligent friend who knows more, who has his own podcast, and he talks about the Moors all the time. Mm. But he uses that word constantly. And it's become even more lately. So I can't listen to his podcast. But the reason he says he uses it is the fact that he needs to relate to the young people. Well, as far as I'm concerned, you should be leading them into something different. You shouldn't go down to their level to connect with them. You should be pulling them up to your level.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it personally.
Right.
But like I say, I don't tell you what to do. And the second thing I won't do, I don't put on a dress. There's no way in hell I'm going to put on the dress. God doesn't have enough money to make me do that.
I get it.
So, wow. But that's my line. I'm not asking you to have my line, but I am asking you to have a line of your own.
Yeah.
Right.
That's good.
That. Okay.
The original question, I got off on the track somewhere.
Oh, no,
I don't know if I answered the original question.
You answered it well.
First off, how are you, Mr. James?
I'm great. How are you, Rossin?
I'm good. My apologies for coming in at this moment. But what was the question again, Joseph? Just so I can follow you too and be refreshed.
It was, what was the first moment you realized acting wasn't just entertainment, but it was his calling?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he answered it very well.
No, absolutely, and it's an amazing segue to the next question, which is, you trained at Notre Dame and University of Michigan. How did your academia shape your performance style?
Well, that's I was shaped by all the teachers, and I've been blessed to have had some great teachers from kindergarten all the way through high school, all the way through college. Open-minded people. So Sister Aquanette is the first one that ever put me on stage. And it was an amazing experience for me when I was in kindergarten, because every year she did a kindergarten play. And so that's the first time I was on stage. And my mother always told the story. See, I stayed with my grandparents mostly because my parents were working. So I stayed with Gertrude and Grandpa for my young years. And my mother said, I told my grandmother, my mama got too many children. She forgets all about me.
Oh.
And that's as a child. But when I got on that stage in kindergarten, because I have two older sisters and an older brother, along with 4 younger brothers and sister and brothers. But when I got on that stage in kindergarten, and I started, and all we did was play Indians going around in the circle talking about woo. I was going to be the best person going around in that circle. I knew that as a child. I can do
Mm.
this better than anybody. And then all of a sudden I realized people are watching me. People are paying attention to me. That's where I think the hook got set, and it's been going ever since. But the teachers that I've had at Notre Dame, we didn't have a graduate department, so the undergraduates got to do all the work on stage, and I was the only Black student in the theater department. So unless I got cast in those white shows, I wasn't going to be on stage. And I got cast in those white shows all the time. I mean, it's like stuff like Chekhov, not the Cherry Orchard. Oh shoot, I forget the name of the play. But my mother and all my relatives around me were white, and no one ever questioned that. But the important thing about it was I got to be on stage until my senior year, when they brought in some rednecks from like Texas. One became the chairman of the department, and as a senior, what they would do is the musical was the big show at the end of the year, so they always tailored or selected a show to do for the big musical at the end of the year for the seniors. Well, when these rednecks got there, you know what the show was that they selected to do at the end of the year? Showboat. Wow. And they thought I was going to play old Black Joe. Not you know, when Paul Robeson did it, it became something bigger, and he changed the lyrics throughout his lifetime to a whole bunch of things. But it's still a black slave, essentially. And they thought I was going to be happy doing that. You got the wrong one, partner. I said, shove it. I had to work on the show because of the fact that I needed
credit
behind the stage, to graduate, because you had to have a certain amount of shows that you worked as a stage manager, as you know, behind the scenes and stuff. And that show was fun for me in a way because they used a Great Dane. It was a black and white Great Dane, and I was in charge of the black and white Great Dane. And so it was. When I was at Notre Dame, matter of fact, I was the last all-male graduating class at Notre Dame. So Notre Dame was the boys' school, and across the street was St. Mary's, the girls' school. Mm-hmm. So I was charged with going to pick up the dog at the person's house that was letting us use it. And I walked through campus of St. Mary with this big ass Great Dane, and I love Great Danes. You know, I used to. I don't. You know, I have Akitas now, but I was walking through campus with this dog and you know, people paying attention and stuff. So that was fun. Besides working the police and stuff, but working with that dog was fun. So it's like, go ahead and about your business. Y'all do what y'all want to do, but I ain't following your program. Yeah. And I've been that way all my life. You know, I've never wanted to be part of somebody else's program. You know, when I was in high school, we moved from out of Chicago, my last 2 years of high school, to Michigan, to a town with like 500 people in it. I'm talking about culture shock. But I found out I'm a country boy because I worked on them farms. I threw hay. I love throwing hay. Get that, no shirt on, 100-pound bales of hay. Boom. Man, I can't lift 50 pounds now, but but the thing is, I love working on those farms. And so it was a different world that I came from Chicago, because I have two younger brothers right underneath me who are loony. And that's right around the time when the Blackstone Rangers were becoming a big thing. And they would have been in the middle of that. So my parents said, oh, no. They moved us out of Chicago. And I went to Michigan because I had a choice. I had to, what I decided was I could have stayed in Chicago, finished my last 2 years of high school. And I said, okay, I'm running for class president. If I win, I'll stay. If I lose, I'll go to Michigan. I lost by 1 vote. Changed my life. Every one of my friends that I hung out with never graduated. They all got kicked out. And I went, like I said, I went to Catholic school all my life, from kindergarten all the way through those first 3 years of high school. So it was a blessing for me to move to Michigan, because I wouldn't have finished high school probably. So who knows what would have happened with me. But then I was fortunate. This is, I'm talking about teachers who influenced my life. There was a guy, a priest named Father Barry Schneider, when I was at Hales Franciscan in Chicago. And Father Barry did one of two shows every year. He alternated only these two shows, Raisin in the Sun and Hamlet. So my freshman year, they did Raisin in the Sun, and no freshmen were allowed to be in the plays. Except this year, he hired a freshman, because I went up to him and said, how did you, I thought no freshman was supposed to be in there. He said, no, this is an exception, because this kid that looks young enough to play Walter Lee's son. I said, this is how I knew in my mind about me, how good I could be and how good I was. I thought I should be playing the lead in Raisin in the Sun. Not just a kid. I thought I should be playing the lead. So the next year in Hamlet, I got cast as one of the guards. And I had the first line in the play. And during rehearsal, I kept thinking to myself, it was a senior who was playing Hamlet. And I kept thinking to myself, no, you can't do it. It's not right. This is how you're supposed to do it. It's in my mind. That's all I kept saying. But of course, I wasn't Hamlet. I was a guard, but I was in the play. And I had the first line in the play. And my mother and my grandmother saw almost everything I ever did in plays. Matter of fact, I even got to put them in a film that I did once, because they flew out to California. They flew to California to see the plays I was in. But the important thing about it, Father Barry took these plays on the road. He took them to Minnesota, Wisconsin, throughout the state of Illinois, and we stayed in white people's houses. I never saw white people hardly. I mean, the nuns, of course, and the priests, the nuns and the priests. There was the Jewish guy who owned the store next door, and the insurance man would come once a month. And unless we went downtown in Chicago, we never saw white people. But when we toured, we stayed in white people's houses. These white people were eating meat at every meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Kids had their own rooms. They lived in big houses. I'm 16 years old, and that you have to understand how that can change your life. Because I looked at that and I said, and I was 16, and I remember saying this to myself, I want me some of this.
Yeah.
So it sets you on a road to get you some of that. And I'm still on that journey to get me some of that. I'm not satisfied,
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But that's how important theater has been to me in my whole life. And in high school in Michigan, there was a guy named Carl Chrysler. He put me in plays in Michigan. And then when I got to Notre Dame, I told you that. When I got to Michigan, now this is funny. When I got to Michigan, because there was a graduate department, all the graduate students got to do all the leads, except for the most part. Well, when I got there, the big show at the end of the year, the spring show, was going to be King Lear.
Love King Lear.
So when I got there, everybody was saying, nobody should even audition for the King Lear. They audition for everything else, because we know who's going to play Lear. It was the white boy that was the big man on campus, right? And everybody kept saying, he's going to be playing Lear. So what are we going to do? In my mind, I said, watch this. Watch this. That's what I was saying. I never said anything to anybody. But I knew. I said, watch this. So sure enough, come whenever it was, March, April, the audition for Lear. Went in and I auditioned. And what they did in college at Notre Dame and at Michigan, they would post the cast list then after the callbacks and stuff. they would post the Catholics in the hallways. Well, when I got into the hallway that morning, there were about 10, 15, maybe 20 people standing around, and it was loud. It was like, they were talking to each other, busy by. And I started walking up. All of a sudden, somebody noticed me. And then they all started noticing me. And it was like the Red Sea parted. And I walked up to the cast list, and I looked at it. And it's King Lear, James Hawthorne. I never smiled, I never said anything. I just looked at it, turned around, walked away, and all of a sudden when I got 15, 20 feet away, I could hear him back again. I knew I was going to get that role.
Yeah.
So it's the belief in self that's so important. Never let anybody tell you what you can't do. Never let anybody tell you what you can and can't do.
Mm.
It was, and Lear at that point, we played in the new big auditorium, the oh shoot, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a big 1,500 seat house. Matter of fact, I went back. They asked me to come back as once I graduated, they asked me to come back and be guest artist. And I got to do The Great White Hope in that 1,500 seat house. Man, you talking about, oh my God. So I've been doing these roles all my life. I've been on stage all my life. I've done over 300 plays in my life. That's what people don't understand. They think Big Red came out of nowhere. No, that's from years of study. Ted Lange, who played the bartender on Love Boat, Teddy got me a scholarship to go to London to study at the London Shakespeare Academy. I fell in love with Richard III. And for those who know Richard kills I think it's his cousin. It's not his brother. I think it's his cousin.
It's his cousin, yeah.
Yeah, he kills his cousin. And then at the funeral, over the casket, he woos Lady Anne, who was the king's wife, and he wins her hand. She becomes his queen.
Yeah.
Well, that stayed in the back of my mind. Now, about what 5, 6 years later,
you did
we're doing the 5 Heartbeats. I wasn't written into the funeral scene. And I went to Robert and I said, I think I need to be in the funeral scene. And he said, yeah, you do. Well, the day we were supposed to shoot it, he hadn't written anything for me. So the night before, I sat down and I wrote that whole funeral scene.
For her to slap you and everything.
That's my writing.
Wow.
And what happened was, because the way I built the character was, I said, why am I so angry at Jimmy all the time? And then it came to me, because Eleanor was mine. He stole Eleanor from me. So that's why I'm angry with him. Now, that's not in the script, but you can see that if you build a character right, the audience can see something in your eyes.
Yeah. So given circumstances, that you craft, they see that. Yeah.
So,
wow.
so that funeral scene I wrote because of Richard III. That's Shakespeare.
That's Shakespeare. That is brilliant. How many people know that is the question. Like, how many people would have known?
They don't know that because number one, they don't know Shakespeare, and number two, it's not for them to actually know that.
No. That's brilliant.
But they know something's interesting happening here. They don't know why it's happening. They have to put their own spin on it, but it's happening. It's not just no. See the part. If you remember the part in when I first meet the boys, after the show, I come up to them and I tell them, "Oh, I'm just an old country boy." Then I turn around to Eleanor and I start speaking French to her. Well, number one, that negates that old country boy crap. Because you should know that this isn't an old country boy. This is something more than that. Then number two, it establishes a relationship between Eleanor and myself because she understands the French. So we know there's history between the two of them. And number three, it cuts her husband out because he doesn't know what we're saying. So it works on all those levels. I had to fight Robert for that. I went to Robert and I said, Robert, can I say this line in French? We went back and forth, and finally he said, the hell with it, go ahead and say it. About a year after the film came out, Robert called me and he said, you were right. That line really does work.
Wow.
So it's not just saying the lines, it's building the character.
Sure.
And Robert said to me every day on the set, make him a lovable uncle, a lovable uncle, lovable uncle. And that's what I did. So what happens when we come out of the when Robert comes down the hallway and then Berg comes on after him, I come out the doorway and I'm with my boys and we're laughing and joking and stuff. And Berg starts yammering at me. And I'm smiling and grinning and telling him, leave me alone. And then next thing you know, he went that bridge too far. Next thing you know is fire, which comes out of nowhere because you've never seen him like that. You've never seen Red in that way. And then you build it. Once I got into the room with the ladies, what did I say to them? Oh, I smiled and said, oh, excuse me, ladies. They run out and I start kicking Bird's ass again, right?
Yeah.
Then I hang him out the window. Well, see, the script, in the original script, the scene ends with me saying the line, right? Well, in rehearsal, I said, something ain't right with that. Something's not right. And so what I did was, what happens when you try to discipline a child? I told you not to go down those stairs, didn't I? What did I tell you? Not to go down the stairs. You make them repeat it.
Yeah.
So in rehearsal, I said, my office hours are, and I look at Roy, my office hours are, and he says the line. Think about it. People don't remember me saying the line. They think about Roy sitting on the floor with tears in his eyes saying the line.
You're right. You're right.
Brilliant.
You're right.
It's brilliant.
You just have to build up, and that's the way I approach every role I've ever done. I don't want you to come to me and say, oh, I saw that in this other film that you were doing. No. I'm trying to do something different for every time I go in front of that camera. Every time I go on stage, I try and be different because every play is different.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. That's where the education comes from. You talk about Notre Dame, in Michigan. It's not where I went to school, although those, of course, are prestigious places. One of the most racist places I've ever been was Notre Dame. I had to deal with so much crap. I wanted to leave so many times. But what I'm proud about is that I actually got that degree, which is hanging up over my wall up here somewhere, behind me somewhere. That's what I'm proud of, that I actually finished in that racist ass school. You know, if you look at the athletes they have, you aren't brought there as a black person to sit on no bench. That bench is reserved for them white boys. If you don't start, you don't go to school there. Period. Think about, if you look at that basketball team, how many black guys you see sitting on that bench? None.
Crazy.
Football team either. You're not brought there to sit on no bench. That's reserved for them. And that correlates right back to film and television, the power that they control. And if you allow them to take your life, you know, all them women that complain about, well, I had to do this. No, you did not have to do that. Just think about it. If all the women said no, then it would go back to talent, wouldn't it? But you got so many women who will do anything. So,
Wow.
and on it goes. You think it's dead? Oh man, this place ain't changed. It's even gotten worse because they realize what they can get away with now.
Yeah. Mm-mm-mm.
And nothing's going to change unless you make it change. And I have, like I say, I have turned down millions of dollars and don't regret a minute of it. I've been almost homeless. I turned down $1 million once because I wrote a play about two Black women who were sisters, and they are, as they got older, they became estranged, and one's married to a doctor, the other one becomes an activist in DC. And as children, they had a cabin that they would go up to. Their parents would take them up to the woods, and they were allowed to run wild because they were middle class. So when they were at home, you had to follow that strict regimen. So the one takes her husband up to the cabin to get their marriage back on track, hopefully, because he's lost his way. He's a doctor, but now he's into the corporate world as a doctor. Mm-hmm. So he's lost his way. The other one has cancer, and she goes up there to kill herself. And they get stuck in the cabin and have to deal with each other for the first time in 25 years. So I wrote this show for these two women who one is the greatest actors I've ever known. Meryl Streep can't touch this woman, but she didn't play that game. She would tell them motherfuckers no. So, but I wrote it for them. So we did the play, and somebody came up to me and said, "We know you need to write the screenplay for this." So I wrote the screenplay, and my agent sent it to the studios, and Warner Brothers and 20th Century Fox wanted to buy it for almost $1 million. It was like $999,999. So I was running around the house talking about, yeah. And then she told me, "Oh, by the way, they want to know if the women can be white."
Wow.
I said, "Give my fucking script back." Because I didn't write this for two white women.
You wrote it for two Black women
to make them stars. I wrote it for two Black women. Now, the two Black women that did the play weren't going to be able to do it, but two Black women were going to become stars off this script. This was back in the mid-90s. So I turned up, and everybody around me said, "Man, you must be crazy. I would take that money." And I said, "No. Once you sell out once, the second, third time is so much easier."
Wow.
That's my mindset. That's the way I look at stuff. See, and I'm glad to be on the show with Ron and Joseph, because this is important.
Yeah.
You guys are important, and understand that. Because you have a way of making things an alternative thought process that we need at this point in Black lives. And notice I said Black. I didn't say nothing about people of color. I hate that fucking saying more than anything in the world. People of color. We're the only people that come out of our mouths. Asian people don't talk about people of color. They talk about Asian.
Yeah.
Latinos don't talk about people of color. They talk about, they're so split. They talk about Dominicans or they talk about Mexicans, whatever it may be, but they don't talk about us. We're the only ones going, "Oh, we need to go." But it's changing.
Yeah.
FBA. Now that you're getting shipped off back to where you came from, we sitting back and they talking about, where y'all at? Ain't got nothing to do with us, partner. Where y'all at when Rodney King was getting his ass whooped?
Man, say that again.
Where were y'all at? Well, see, the Asian folks, and this is one thing, most people don't know this. There was an Asian cop, and I think he was Chinese, that killed a brother in New York. And he got convicted of manslaughter. Do you know the Asian people went out in the streets and protested because they didn't want him to go to jail? They were out in the streets protesting this person, this animal that killed a black man. Do you know that motherfucker never spent a day in jail? They felt it in their minds, well, white people get to kill black people all the time. Why can't we? I'll never forgive them for that. Never. There was even an Asian woman I read once. She said, you know, y'all are screwed up. Black people will never forgive you for that. And she's right. If you know the story, you will never forgive them for that.
Man.
So I do not talk about people of color. I talk about FBAs. Fat Joe. Come on. Yeah, FBAs are racist. Excuse me, you fat, greasy pig? We're the reason that you are Fat Joe and people know you because you took the music that we created, became a star, and we supported you.
Yeah.
Now you're talking about FBAs are racist. Get the hell up out of here.
Yeah.
We are alone. And I'm telling you, I don't do interviews very much anymore. But for you two, absolutely.
And we thank you. It's a privilege and an honor.
Yeah.
It even goes into the segue of the next question of, first off, it's an honor for me because just hearing your story is such in close proximity and such a close degree of separation as far as my story. I mean, I'm a classically trained, formally trained actor.
I can tell.
Stanford Meisner, Stanislavski, you know, Shakespeare, you know, Commedia dell'arte, Moliere, all those things.
Moliere? See,
yes.
Look at that speech I prayed you.
Yeah. Oh man, you talking about King Lear? It's my favorite. I was Edmund, the bastard son, Edmund King Lear. But it's to hear you. I was also one of 3 black kids in a graduating theater program, and it was all. I went to the High School for the Performing and Visual Arts, HSPVA, and it was a very top-notch liberal arts high school here in Houston, and I graduated from Texas Southern University, HBCU. So I'm based out of Houston. Of course, it changed when I went to HBCU because I wanted to go to HBCU, and kind of excelled in the theater department there. But being at that high school, it was the thing that you said. It was, you know, auditioning for these shows. I was the only freshman, you know, my freshman year to get a principal role in the musical where it was all these seniors and they had seniority and I made it, you know, and it was like the white people that I went to school with. I always felt like I had to work harder. I had to train harder. I had to know more. You know, I auditioned for Lear and got the bastard son Edmund. I had to perform and I had to outperform. I was the person that was like, oh, you put the cast list up. I knew I was going to get this role because I just knew it. I worked hard. And so it kind of leads to the question of making the transition, though, from being in that world, because, of course, being in that world, the training set me apart. I mean, me and Joseph talk about it all the time, you know, as far as acting where we are, you know, to a certain extent in certain realms of the independent film industry, training is not paramount. People don't go back to the basics of training. There are not a lot of trained people. Joseph trained, I trained, we're formally trained. We're classically and formally trained actors. That gives us an edge. But when we went into, you know, coming from that, stepping to the independent realm of black film, my question was, did you ever feel like you had to hide your training to get your foot in the door? Or did it always give you an edge to excel?
No, you don't hide it. You just go. See, this is the thing. You talk about it. I talk about it. All these roles that we did, from Lear to what the hell is the Chekhov play that I did? But all these classicals, classical stuff. What it does, if you can wrap your lips around those words and make people believe you in that world, how much easier is it to play some street guy? That's a no-brainer.
No, it's a no-brainer. Absolutely.
Yeah, but see, even if I were playing a street guy, and I played pimps before, but I always prepare it. You know, I approach it the same way, building a character. I was watching a hero ain't nothing but a sandwich.
I remember that.
And I was an extra in that movie.
Mhm.
And I looked at it maybe about a year ago because I had a character as an extra. I had a little limp going down the street because I'm working on how to do this,
How to build a character.
how to build a character. So I had fun doing that. So I did extra work 5, 6, 8 times maybe. And then I had to stop because they would have a tendency to pigeonhole you.
To pigeon, yeah. I tell my actors that all the time. Don't do that. Don't, yeah.
But I wanted to get myself comfortable with being on the set.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see how everything worked. This is what happened after all that education. And I taught for 2 years at Illinois State University in the theater department. So after all of this, I moved to California. Well, I go in and I audition. It was a Burbank Little Theater. And it's a stupid little Samuel French comedy. And if you know Samuel French,
I know Samuel
those,
French.
you know, those entertainment.
I know Samuel.
It's
Yeah.
called, and the play was called Here Lies Jeremy Troy. Well, I went to an audition, got the role. It's the second lead. And I went to my first rehearsal, and it took me 2 to 3 hours to get there from where I live to Burbank, because I had to take the bus and I had to go downtown and transfer and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But so I went to my first rehearsal, and there were about 10, 12 older white people in the audience. And I thought to myself, oh, this is how they do things in California. They have audiences for rehearsal. I said, oh, okay. So we finished rehearsal, and I got the bus, took the bus back. And I didn't have my car, so I asked the director, I said, can I go back home and get my car and drive about? I need a couple of days off. He said, no problem. We'll just work around you. Well, when I got back to my apartment, the phone was ringing. So I went and got the phone, and it was the director. And he said, I'm sorry. Ron's gone away. Let me kind of wait for Ron. Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm back. My apologies. Go ahead.
No worries. I know life happens. But he said, it was director on the phone. He said, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to let you go. And I said, what's the problem? It's just one first rehearsal. I'll be better, honestly. And he went, it took him about 10 or 15 minutes. And he finally told me what the problem was. The problem was those old white people that were sitting in the audience were on the board of directors of the theater. As the character, I had to kiss the white girl on the cheek. I'm trying to get the boy and girl back together. I had to kiss her on the cheek, and they said, hell no, there's no way in the hell we have no black man kiss no white girl on our stage.
Wow.
That's the reason. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me. Because when I got the role, I thought to myself, Hollywood, I'll be a star tomorrow morning. This ain't shit. When that happened, it woke me up. And the next day, I was on the floor in front of the TV, and I was just hurting. And I don't know if you know who Dinah Shore was, but she had a talk show. Dinah Shore had a talk show, and the guest that they had on there was forgive me, comedian, Sanford and Son.
Red Fox.
Red Fox.
Thank you. She had Red Fox as a guest. During the interview, she announced, oh, we have a special guest to give you something. The mayor of Burbank came out and gave Red Fox the keys to the city. The same city where I was told I wasn't good enough to kiss a white girl on the cheek. You talking about pushing the knife in further. But it was good because I knew what I was up against. And it hasn't changed since.
How do you get to that point? That's crazy.
You know, but so you learn these life lessons. And a lot of people would have quit. Oh. You can't make me quit because my ancestors put too much hard work into me.
Yeah.
If I quit, they win, and
They
I'll
quit.
be damned if they win.
Yeah.
I tell
Yeah.
everybody, I'll keep turning up like a bad penny.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so those are the things. That's another one of those life lessons that I learned. You know, and those are the
That's
things. I don't know what y'all are doing in Houston, but it's the struggle has to be very similar. It's on a
yes.
larger scale in LA.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. I went to college in Burbank at New York Film Academy.
Oh, you did? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So trust me, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And then here in those little pockets, like I said, at that high school, it's, you know, like I said, you go into the class and there was about 30 of us. And the first piece of the curriculum, we're learning Meisner. And by the time we get to the second semester, it drops from 30 to it's a couple of us because it's such an intense program. And I'm still there. Me and three other black kids, my friend Kanan, and my other friend Quayle, and we were the only ones. There was three of us, so it was
Mhm.
like dealing with that was like that small pocket of experiencing that how it was in LA, and so yeah, no, that story really helped me because I've always thought about that. How do you navigate the discrimination when the talent should really supersede all of that?
And it doesn't.
And it
Get
doesn't.
this
Yeah.
straight right now. Talent doesn't mean a damn thing.
Wow. It's crazy.
It's
Opportunities, talent.
really about who's the next person they want to screw. You know, about my relative. See, I was an executive at TriStar, and I saw all this firsthand. Films would get done because they had a friend who was broke, and they needed this film to get done, their script to get done. That's how it works. That's what it is.
Wow.
And if your talent can get you in the door and get you the job, then you are very fortunate. That's why you never quit, because you don't know when that talent is going to get you through that door and keep you there.
Hmm.
You know,
Wow.
I'm telling you, I
That's
feel very blessed to have been making my living since 1986. I haven't had a 9 to 5 since 1986. And like I say, I've been this close to being homeless. If it wasn't for a couple of my brothers, my ex, who paid me back some money, because when I had some money, I paid her a tax bill, and I had totally forgotten about it. And she came back, she got some money from an inheritance, and she paid me money. My current wife, who, God bless her, pitched in and helped me. You know, but it was that rough patch, a year maybe. I had a friend who would come by, pick me up, take me to the club, buy me some drinks, and then take me home. And that was way out of his way, because he didn't want me in the house, you know, feeling a certain
Yeah.
way. So
okay.
he's my friend, and he understood what was going on.
Hmm.
You know, you're gonna have those times. But at the same time, you can't deviate from your morals. One of the first people I interviewed as an agent, we were having a conversation, and she's an older white woman. And out of the blue, she said to me, "Oh, how old are you?" I told her my age. She said, "Oh," it kind of stumbled, and she said, "I just need to know in case I have to send you out for any parties." Well, when I was there, I didn't understand what that meant. Now, it took me years to understand what that meant, in case she had to send me out on any parties. In other words,
Mhm. Yeah.
No, that's crazy. No,
Wow.
that's insane.
that's insane.
And that's not going to happen. Whoever does it, God bless them. That's it. But for me, hell no. Ain't nothing in this world going to make me bend over.
That's like that's insane. And you always hear about stories, and you always want to know,
Hey,
which is why it was,
look.
when Joseph told me, that we were gonna have you on the show. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's a wealth of knowledge because you always want to know the confirmation of these things. You can't get it from everybody. Only legends who've experienced, being in that realm. And not only that, because there are a lot of legends who've experienced that realm and succumbed to it, but there's not a lot of people who were courageous enough to say, no, fuck that, I'm not doing it. And you're one of those people to be like, no. Like,
trust and believe. I know a lot of them,
bro.
I have a friend who I took acting classes with when I got to LA. He's older than I am. He hasn't had an agency, and one day they asked him, "Would you do same sex? Would you do the same thing with as a homosexual?" He said, "No." Do you know they dropped him? This is a 70-some-year-old man. They dropped him because he wouldn't have sex with another man. That what they do now is the scripts you submit. They'll come back and say, "Oh, we like the script, but where's the gay characters?" Well, there's no gay characters.
I know, yeah.
Well, we need you to write one in, and if you say no, they'll pass on that script.
It's the inclusion.
But of course, people say, "Oh, there's no Hollywood agenda."
You know what's
crazy.
funny? That
crazy.
is literally up to my next question. Literally, what is a truth about Hollywood you wish more Black actors understood early on?
That you have to start doing more than just being in front of the camera. Too many of us want to be in front of the camera instead of controlling our own destinies. You have to learn to write. You have to learn to produce. I work with this one woman who I did a film that she was producing. And, the producers hold all the power. But she wanted to be an actress. I told, are you out your friggin' mind? You're the power. You're the control. I was dating this one woman who was making $50,000 a week as a producer on one of them TV shows. I forget what it was. But one day she said, I want to be an actress.
Everybody wants our jobs. Everybody wants to be in front of the camera. Not everyone, but people do.
No, but white people don't.
No, they don't.
They know where the money is.
They know
where the power is.
Techies and stage managers, they would get paid more than the actors when we were stage managers.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the truth. You're speaking truth.
Yeah.
And it's like the naivete of understanding who can make a difference in the world. That's what I would tell youngsters today. Don't just settle for going out hat in hand, talking, he's not going to have a job. No, make your own job. Make your jobs. And I've done that all my life also. I've produced short films and stuff. Hopefully I can get the whole feature done. And stuff. I mean, I've got 2 films on YouTube. One's called Remember Me with a question mark. That's the one about the 2 sisters. And I made it into a short film thinking that I could raise the money to do it. And the other is Lisa Trotter. And it was written by Sam Greenlee. Sam Greenlee was the guy who wrote The Spook Who Sat by the Door. And long story, but I produced a short film out of his feature film trying to raise the money. It didn't work, but okay, but I had belief in myself. But see, I could have made a lot of money also by writing films that have kids killing each other. I'm not doing that. I have no interest in watching Black kids kill each other. They're doing that now without being more encouraged by watching movies. Because look at the kids now. They think they're going to make it by doing all this negative stuff. And no one's pushing in their faces that you could. Do you know how much money a driver makes on set? You can make over $100,000 a year and not be looking over your shoulder worried about, the police. But nobody's telling them that.
No.
And they're
No.
not being told because those drivers keep it in the family. They pass those jobs down to their sons and grandsons.
Right.
But we don't do that. It's very, I mean, I can't tell you the actors that won't put their own relatives into a job. White people do it all the time. Clint Eastwood works with the same people constantly.
Adam
Yeah,
Sandler.
and then they want to have complain about nepotism, and it's like that's how the industry works.
That's how it works.
It's who you
That's
know.
how it works.
Yeah,
You're exactly right, bro.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
Man.
It's nepotism. It's all kinds of tisms.
Oh, weird. Definitely all kinds of tisms. Hollywood, weird, man.
It's a weird place. It's a weird, weird place. And if you get caught up in that weird, I have to say this. I have to say this has bothered me. I don't understand this at all. And I did a 3-hour interview with Willie D about a month and a half ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that 3 hours went by so fast, and I still didn't say. I didn't touch. That was all surface stuff I was talking about. And sometimes I don't realize how much knowledge and information I have because I've been in the ivory towers. I've been in front of the camera, behind the camera, you name it. I've done it. But I started to say something. Denzel came out and made a statement about 2 months ago. And he said, yes, I kissed the man on the lips for Gladiator 2. Why would you say that, Denzel? What is the purpose of you saying that?
He definitely did.
Yeah, because I wasn't even thinking about it.
He definitely did. Because it's like this, I don't understand why. It's this air that's like you can just say anything. First of all, with the whole movie, they just said, you know what, we're just gonna send Denzel on a swan song victory tour or whatever. We're just gonna use Denzel and we're gonna just send him to do all the marketing because that's what's gonna sell the movie. I personally think the movie was mid. The movie, it was anticlimactic. It didn't give me what I wanted. It didn't beat the first one by any means. But it's like it's a shock value. They just wanted to send Denzel to say all these shocking things. And I feel like that's a lot of what Hollywood makes out of people is it seems like the only thing that gets you in the door is having this shock value.
Yeah.
And that's what they ride on. You have to be shocking. Every 5 years there's a new up and coming actor coming out. But there's a shock value attached to them. Because the talent is very regular. I watch it all the time. But there's something more. And that's why he had to say something like that. Like it's like almost like a humiliation ritual. Like, come on, Denzel, kiss someone on the lips. And people let it go.
For that movie in particular.
You haven't done anything like that. Like I don't think he's done anything like that in his entire career from what we know. But
he didn't have to do that. He didn't
have to do it to get to that height. And then to be like, I kissed a man on. Come on, Denzel.
But bro, he's played Shakespeare. I think he played in Much Ado About Nothing. So
yeah, it's like you don't have to do that.
I don't even understand why he even had to do that in the movie.
Why would you? Not only in the movie, but then you announce it. Right. I haven't seen the movie, but then you're all proud about the shit.
Right. I kissed a man. I'm like, come on, Denzel. Come on, Denzel. Come on. And didn't care.
No.
Didn't care.
This goes back to how important movies are. Do you know the characters, the emperors and the two twins? Do you know they were
the
Africans?
Two twins?
They're Africans. That emperor and the two twins are African. They came from Africa. They don't tell you that they were black emperors in Rome.
Oh, wow.
They don't tell you anything about who you really are.
They don't tell you that. They don't tell you that at all.
No, but he'll say, I kissed a man on the lips.
Oh my! And it goes to our other it segues into the next question, which I wanted to ask, which is like, what? as a legend, watching from your perspective, and you have a wealth of experience that starts from the stage, which I think is the cornerstone, that is the pillar of what we do as like we start off as thespians. It's not on camera. We're thespians first before anything. Coming from that, what's your honest take on today's generation of actors? If you watch it,
they suck.
I knew you were gonna say that. I knew it. I knew you were gonna say that.
I can't watch this new stuff.
Why do you think they suck though? Is it because of the training?
There's no training. I mean, it used to be that you understood that you actually had to work at something. Now with the internet, etc., people think, "Oh, I can pick up a camera." I had a girl I was dating many years ago. She said, "Why don't you just buy a book and shoot it?"
What?
Her face. Why don't you? So she was suggesting that you buy a book, a narrative novel. I'm not sure fiction, and that you film it, like a movie.
Yeah. Having no knowledge of taking the book and putting it in script form and understanding how to write a script. There are certain scripts, people send me scripts. I can't read this junk because it's not, there's a certain format. I don't care if you use Final Draft, Movie Magic, whatever it is, or whatever they're using now. But there's a certain way that I've read scripts all my life. And if it's not in that format, it's hard for me to read. It pisses me off because, in fact, nowadays it doesn't cost a lot of money. I can't. I'm not doing anything for free anymore. Sorry, don't call me up. Ask me, can you do something for free? No, I'll put in my dues. Call up Denzel. I ask him or Sam Jackson if they won't do something for free to see what the reaction is from that. I'm not doing it.
Your system. No, it's like
I can't afford it. I now have a house that I have a mortgage to pay. After all these years, I finally, me and my wife, we bought a house. I got bills, partner. I got to have something. You got to put something in my pocket.
Right.
I will do it. I'm getting ready to do a film. This girl that I know, I did an animated film for her. Which will be coming out this Christmas. It's a short animated film called Jazzy Bells. It's about, and I play the father who doesn't come home for Christmas, and it's a really cute story. But she paid me. I'm getting ready to do a film with her. She's not paying me a lot of money because I know it's coming out of her pocket. But she's paying. She'll give me a percentage on the back end. And if those things that are streaming on the television, I ain't got a dime of them things. Not a dime.
Yeah.
I do get paid for this, something now for the studio films like Speed and Heaven's Prisoners, that type of stuff. They have to pay you. But all the rest of that stuff, they keep telling me they're not making any money. But at least this woman, even though she's not paying me a lot of money, at least she is willing to give me a back end. I had some woman want to use my stuff, wanted to use me for something, and I said, okay, I'll do it for that amount of money, but you have to pay me something. If you make money, I make money. They said no. You think you're gonna use my face, my talent, my people who know me, and if it becomes successful, I don't get anything? Where's your mind? Who do you think you are? Who do you think you forgot who? And I'm not trying to be egotistical, but you forget who I am.
Yeah, no, real talk. It's how it is. It's the training. That's how it is. People forget the work. People forget the work. The work that we put in. Me and Joseph talk about it all the time. The training that we put in, we talk about. We earned it. We earned it. We have an edge.
You guys are putting in the work. I can tell. I knew that before you said something about it because when I said Lear, I love Lear. Oh, this Negro knows who Lear is.
Absolutely.
Because you're one of the few people that
Let me tell you, I'm gonna tell you this, Mr. Hawthorne. Like literally, my mom was sitting over there, and I came in, and she whispered, "He said something about Shakespeare," and my eyes lit up because I said, "Oh, this is gonna be great," because you don't have that. Like that's the craft. Like there's the acting. I mean, like again, me and Joseph talk about it all the time. There's the acting and there's the craft. There are people who want to be just actors, and then there's people who we live for the craft. We have a respect and a reverence for the craft that people don't have. They didn't have instilled in them. They didn't grow up with it. It wasn't trained. Like we went through the intensity of it. So it's like to hear when people try to do the same thing to us, and we're still building. Of course, we haven't reached the precipice of what you've experienced. We're gonna go there. You blaze the trail for us, but it's like people even try to do that to us. It's like we're trained. We have experience. We have films on our belt. You can't get what we give you for nothing.
Well, see, there was a theater in LA called the Inner City Cultural Center. It was mostly the guy who ran it called it a multicultural theater, but it wasn't. It was really a black theater.
Right.
And at Inner City, I did plays for free, not even bus fare, not even gas money. You do these plays for free. But what you do is you're constantly working and working on your craft, etc. Yep. My first film came because of a guy named Cliff Rockmore, who is absolutely brilliant director. Cliff should have been one of the biggest Broadway producers, directors there ever was, but he couldn't get out of his own way. Mm. But he cast me in Rudy Ray Moore's in the film Rudy was producing called Disco Godfather.
You ran that?
I was the lead bad guy. Stingray.
Ooh, yes, you was.
Yeah, that was my very first movie. Man, I made $50 a day, and I worked like I think 2 or 3 days. I made $50 a day. You can tell me shit. I think I was golden in dope. $50? Being an actor?
Oh my God.
But what people don't appreciate about Rudy is Rudy was one of the most important people, black people in the industry. He gave black people, they wrote his films, they directed his films, they produced his films, they were in front of the camera, they were the crew members. And that's what pisses me off about the movie that they made about his life. With the one with Eddie Murphy?
Eddie Murphy, yeah.
And the reason I'm pissed off is because Glenn Turman called me up one day. He said these, and I don't know Glenn very well. Glenn and I know each other, but we're not friends or anything. We just know each other. We have pleasant conversation when we see each other. But he said these producers are going to produce a film about Rudy Ray Moore, and you know more about Rudy than I do. Would you come to the lunch meeting with me? Because they wanted to talk about Rudy. So I went to the lunch meeting with them. We stayed for about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and we were talking. I was telling them stories about Rudy, et cetera, et cetera. The movie comes out. I didn't get an invite to the premiere. My name is in the credits. Special thanks. But didn't even give an invite to the premiere. No black director, no black writers, no black producers. Only people that were black, they had to be were people in front of the camera. That's not who Rudy Ray Moore is. Rudy, thank God for Rudy Ray Moore. And you and I both know that Rudy was a terrible actor.
Yeah.
But he
Runson's a little young, he don't know.
Yeah, I have to research that.
Yeah, he a little younger than me. He don't know.
Who? Rudy?
Yeah, Runson don't know him. I do.
Oh, you don't know Rudy? Oh,
No.
yeah. Look, Rudy.
I have to watch that.
I mean, Rudy did how many films? 6, 7 movies?
Man, I think it was 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, you gotta watch it.
He was so important to black people because he gave us those opportunities.
Yeah.
And for me, that was an extremely important movie in my life because it was, like I said, it was my very first movie I'd ever did. And the first day I was on set, I had the director in this here, I had the the cinematographer in this area. I had wardrobe people messing with me. I had the sound man doing this. I had 2 other people doing shoes, whatever it was. And I'm like this. You know, the more they talk, the more tight I got.
Mm.
So the last thing that we did for the day was I had this long speech outside to my crew. And it was the end of the day. The light was going down. It had been a long day. And I could feel the crew saying, get this right. So we want to go home. Hurry up and get this right. And I felt that. And I was just, oh my God. And I got through it. I got through that speech. And I went home that night and I talked to myself. I said, you know what you're doing. Stop this. This is ridiculous. Relax. The next day, there's a black girl showed up on the set. She was Miss Black Philadelphia or Miss Black Pennsylvania or something like that. Well, Rudy and the producers had promised this woman a role in the movie, and they had forgotten about it. She shows up. So they didn't know what to do with her. So what they decided to do was make her my wife. Make her Stingeray's wife. So Cliff, the producer, writer, did Cliff write? I don't know if Cliff wrote that one or not, but he was producing it. And I think he wrote it. But he started on this yellow pad, he started writing the scene between her and I. And I was standing there looking over his shoulder as he wrote this thing. And he finished writing the scene. And he saw me, he looked up at me, he said, okay, you want to rehearse this? I said, no, let's shoot it. Because I had learned to relax so much. I had memorized the scene while he was writing it.
Wow.
That was an important lesson for me. But trust and believe, I still, when I walk the first day on the set or the third day or something, I'm still nervous.
Yes. Yeah, you still feel the adrenaline. Yeah.
But I've learned to control it better. Especially as a black man, you have to understand. I've seen people go to lunch, and when they came back from lunch, there was another actor in their place. And if you're black, you will not get a job if you cost them money. And trust and believe, those executives talk to each other. You think Hollywood's a big place? No, it is not. Those people talk to each other. They know who you are. And if you cost them money, you're not going to work again. Unless you're somebody that they really, really need. White Boys, I did an episode of not NYPD Blue. I did one of those shows. It was NYPD Blue. And one of the regulars on the show, he couldn't get his lines for nothing. What happened was they would deliver the script at 1 o'clock in the morning, and because they were writing as they were going, you'd have to be on the set by 5 o'clock, and you'd have to have all that shit memorized, etc. And I did, because I knew that as a black man, I couldn't afford to screw up. So that's the way it is. But white boys can screw up all the time. Yep. And it doesn't mean anything. He couldn't get his lines out. We spent half the morning trying to go over his lines. So it is different. You have to understand, you have a certain skin tone that makes you different. And in today's world, and I swear I'm working towards one day, it won't be in my lifetime, but one day we can screw up as much as they do. But it ain't now.
I don't think it'll ever. I honestly, truly don't think that'll ever happen. To be able to screw up as much.
You know what? I'm not as skeptical about this as you are, Ron. Because I do believe if we keep working at it, as long as if one person keeps, don't tell me what one person can or can't do. I'm gonna tell you another little story. When I was producing Remember Me, I took the whole crew up for the weekend to a place called Idlewild, which is in the mountains above Palm Springs. And it's a totally different area. I mean, that woods and all kinds of stuff. So the crew, we shot Saturday and Sunday. So Sunday night, the crew, some of the crew had gone back to LA and they were in their bed. Some of the crew was still on the road going back. And my girlfriend and my friend were just going down the side of the mountain. And it was just me and my dog left in the cabin where we were shooting. All of a sudden, it was the biggest earthquake I'd ever been in my life. The whole cabin was rocking and rolling. And I thought to myself, I said, wow. But see, it's called Coachella Valley, that whole area. And so they're always having earthquakes in the Coachella Valley. So I thought it was in Coachella Valley. So I had to deliver equipment back from the U-Haul that on Monday morning. There was nobody on the freeways. The streets were empty. The businesses where I had to return stuff were all closed. To this day, I never felt the real effect of what happened in LA as opposed to where I was. When I was an executive at TriStar, they didn't have Martin Luther King's birthday as a holiday, as a get out of work day. So I decided this was unfair because it was a national federal holiday. And I wrote this memo to the president, the owners of the company of TriStar. And I told them, if you respect your employees, especially your Black employees, you should give us the day off. Well, there were two Black secretaries. I was the only Black male there, and I was an executive. I was head of the post-production ancillary markets. But there were two Black secretaries with females. And I went to them, I said, would you sign this memo? Both of them women looked at me like I had lost my ever-loving mind. Hell no. So I said, to hell with it. I sent it off on my own. I don't know how much later it was, maybe 2 weeks, a month or so. We get the memo back, company-wide. And the memo said, anybody who wishes to take the day off of Martin Luther King's birthday can do so with pay. Well, once one studio does it, then the other studios start doing it.
Mm.
And so eventually it became, Hollywood shuts down. They still shoot stuff down, but the studios shut down for that holiday, just like they shut down for Christmas.
Yeah.
So after the earthquake, my then girlfriend, 2-3 years later, she came up to me. She said, do you know how many lives you saved? And I looked at her, I said, what are you talking about? Do you know how many lives you saved? I said, I don't know what you're talking about. That earthquake happened on Martin Luther King's day. There would have, had I not written that memo, there would have been people in those garages that collapsed, on the roads that collapsed.
Wow.
It freaked me out.
Wow.
Don't tell me what one man can don't tell me one man can't affect the lives of others.
Yeah. For the greater good. Yeah. No, I agree.
For the greater good. Thank you. Those are the words I'm trying to say.
Wow.
You can.
Yeah.
One person, Malcolm, Martin, two people out of millions, and we ain't been the same since they both were murdered.
Yeah. No.
But see, the difference between them and us is how many presidents have been, assassinated and died in office. It never stops, though. The show goes on, don't it?
Yep.
But with us, because we don't teach the next generation to come in and step in, our shit dies. Once Malcolm and Martin were gone,
legacy was over.
Nobody tried again.
Fred Hampton shot up in his bed. That was the end of the Panthers. Because we haven't learned to keep going, to have people behind us to replace us. Yeah. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And some of it may be jealousy, some of it may be fear that somebody's going to take my job. I don't have that fear. That's why I'm talking to you guys. I want you to have this knowledge, man.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of you two.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that once I die, you two won't be able to continue on. That's
You don't
my
have to have
fear.
that fear. No, yeah, you don't have to have that fear because it's being able to get info like this and us being the people to
It's a blessing.
to carry it on because a legacy has to be continued. We say the same thing all the time. We're not competing against anybody.
No, what's yours is yours.
Yeah.
I walk into an audition, and if it's for me, it's for me. If not, I understand. And I've had people come up to me, producers come up to me and say, I'm standing there on the studio lot, and they'll walk by and they'll look at me and walk up and say, "Man, we should have hired you for this job." Wacka, 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 wacka. Somebody else got the job, got the money. Now you telling me you should have hired me, and I still ain't got no job. Is that supposed to make me feel good? Go away, leave me alone.
Oh my God, man. You remember when you said that he wanted you to be like an uncle in Five Heartbeats?
Mm-hmm.
Man, you've been like that for me since I was a kid, man.
Okay.
I swear. When I met you in Dallas, man, when we went to eat and all that, man, all that stuff you told me, it resonated with me till up till now. I used all of it.
Good.
It's good stuff.
I'm glad. When I did that Willie D interview, I know we got to go, but there's two things I want to say about the stuff that I've done. That Willie D, I had a brother hit me up on, I think it was Facebook, or was it Instagram? But you could tell he was one of them hardcore brothers. There's something about him that made me think, this is not some softy. But he said, man, at the end of that interview, you made me almost cry.
Mm.
Because I said at the end of the interview, after all, the 3 hours, he listened to the whole thing apparently. I said, I love you. I love my people, and I want you to succeed. I love you. And I think that's what it was. He hadn't heard anybody say, I love you. And he took it personally because I looked in that camera, and I was talking to him. That's the kind of effect in this world I want to have. I directed a film called The Stick Up Kids. And we shot in New York about these kids who I played the uncle, and I raised them. They're not mine biologically, but I raised these kids. And so it's a really good film, I think. But years later, after the film came out, this was on Facebook. A woman hit me up on Facebook. I mean, years later. And she said, I was in a battered women's shelter, and I didn't know what I was going to do with my life. They had a copy of The Stick Up Kids, and I watched it several times.
Mm.
She said it changed my life.
Mm.
I now own a 4-plex, and I'm looking to buy an 8-plex.
Wow.
That's what I do this for.
Wow. Wow.
All the accolades, all the stuff people know me around, I did it for that woman.
Mm.
That means more to me than anything in the world.
For the love of the craft.
Mm-hmm. My wife, it was like that film I told you about, the animated film, Jazzy Bells. This woman can sing a notch below Aretha Franklin, but she's never had the people to push her. Her family wasn't there. My family was there for me. All my brothers and sisters, my parents, etc. They were all there. But she didn't have anybody like that. I got her a job doing one of the voices in the film. And not because she's my wife, but because I knew she could do it. we talk about films, and she talks, and she's very knowledgeable. She always says, "Oh, look at that, look blah 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 blah." And I said, "You're right." So I got her a film. I got her a job doing one of the voices. When she was in the booth doing her voice for one of the reindeer, I got more pleasure out of that than I could ever get out of myself. Watching her fulfill something that she should have been doing 30 years ago, as opposed to all this nonsense of 9-to-5 jobs. She's better than that.
Yeah.
And I will not ever do anything without thinking, how can I, is she appropriate for this or that? And then how can I talk to the people?
Yep. Wow. That's so good. Man, you didn't
blew my mind tonight.
This is by far the best. We've enjoyed all the guests that we've had. Don't get us wrong. This is by far the best show that we've had thus far. The best. The best. The knowledge. It's an honor, like I said, to have somebody of your caliber talk about this industry from the perspective of just being an actor. It's an honor because we don't get that. It's shifted. It's changed. We are up next, but it's different when you don't get a chance to always have access to a trailblazer who hands the baton to you, and that's what this was. So this is. Thank you.
I truly wish you guys all the best. I really do. It's a wonderment and an honor and a blessing to speak to people that understand what I'm saying, because everybody doesn't get it. That's why I don't do these things anymore, hardly, because it's like spitting in the wind.
Man, I tell you that all the time, though.
So it really is an honor. It really is a pleasure for me to speak to you guys. And I will really wish you all the best. And if I can help, most of the time, 99% of the time I can't, but every once in a while, I can do something. And if that 1% of the time, don't hesitate.
Absolutely.
Just for some advice or whatever it may be.
Absolutely. Yeah. Wow.
Then we're on with it.
Joseph, that's you, man. Shoot.
Hey,
out,
man. Before you get off, the comments from Laquita. Love these conversations, wisdom and knowledge from incredible Black talented men. Need more of this. Keep going, Mr. Hawthorne. We appreciate you and the road you've paved for so many of us. You're a legend. Congratulations on a great show. Keep going. Mr. Hawthorne James, you are selfless, beautiful human. Thank you for the gems. And last one, amazing. Great job, everyone.
That's it. I'm just trying to make a difference in the world.
You made it.
You made it.
I grew up to get the difference from you, so you did.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We thank you so much. Anything else you want to shout out to anybody? You want to let people know where they find you? Anything you want them to watch?
They can always find me on Instagram, Hawthorne 2995, or on Facebook. I just finished a film called In the Matchbox, which will be out sometime. I don't know. You do them and you have no control over when they come out. But Jazzy Bells will be out this Christmas. And in this film I'm going to do with Dara Frazier is her name, in next month, I think it is. But so I'm working, and I'm happy with the work. And Dara, I love working with her because I say some stuff in the film. Even in the Matchbox, I say some stuff in the film. I love people that aren't afraid of massa. Because I love telling the truth.
That's funny.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Well, again, man, I can say it 1,000 times. It's been an honor and a pleasure. If it's not too much trouble for you, you know, we'll reach out to you just here and there, just checking on you, see how you doing.
I'd appreciate that. It's nice to have somebody that won't say, "Hey, you still here? You still here?"
Yeah, man, we
Man,
care.
for sure. We're here, man. I'm following you too. I'm gonna follow you.
Yeah,
We're here. We're gonna check up on
we
you.
care.
And
Yeah.
check out those 2 films on YouTube. Remember Me with a Question Mark and Lisa Trotter.
Okay,
Leave
on
a
YouTube.
comment, you know, or hit me up and say what you think about them.
I definitely will.
If you pull up my name, the films, the 2 films should come up, because I know Lisa. Remember Me doesn't always come up unless you put my name in it with it.
Got you.
I got it. I already found it. I already found Lisa Trotter. I'm gonna watch it when we get off.
Got you.
Okay. All right, you guys.
All right,
Thank you
Chief.
so much.
You take it easy, and we'll catch you next time.
Look forward to seeing you guys. Maybe
See you
we might
later.
get down to Houston
Have a
or
blessed-
Dallas. Where you at? Are you both in Houston now?
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Go to Mickey's for me. My favorite soul food restaurant in the world.
Man, I just went to Mickey's. You next time you come here, on me, we got to go to Mickey's, Mr. Hoffman. We have to go to Mickey's.
I owe
on
you.
me.
I owe
Let's
you
do
a
it.
bourbon. I owe you a bourbon too, because I can't. Man, you got me the last time.
Yeah, we gotta go to Mickey's. It's done. We're going. Next time you're in Houston, let us know. We'll all go to Mickey's.
Cool. All right, guys. It's been great
Let's
talking
do it.
with you.
Be
All right,
blessed.
boss, man.
You too. All right, guys.
Yes, sir.
Now, if you have any other problems with your royalties and my books, my office hours are from. My office hours are from